This is a training video to step through each of the steps that make up our new car park DRA process. It looks like a lot. I promise you it's really easy. I'm going to show you live through this video each of these steps one by one so you can see how the process works. The whole point of this process is to capture any reservations that weren't allocated a car space on the day that the reservation was made. So any reservations that were made yesterday that weren't confirmed with a secure car space are going to show up on this list, and we're then going to be able to work through the reservation list one booking at a time, check to see whether or not there's a car space available for the dates of stay, and then allocate it and offer it accordingly. So I'll step through this process and follow the flow chart. There's going to be a copy of this laminated on the clipboard just until it becomes second nature to everyone. So it will be there for as long as we need it to be, and then we'll always be able to reference back to this flow chart if required, and hopefully this video gives you a bit of insight into exactly what that looks like so that you can reference it when needed. So I'll start from the beginning and just work my way through. You can follow along while you're watching, just so that you can get a feel for how each step's going to go. Once you've watched the video, please don't hesitate to ask any questions if you need to. And if something through the process comes up that you think maybe could be tweaked, this is obviously is something that we can look into if needed. So let's get started. So you're going to start in RMS, utilities, and then report writer, and go from there. So we want to go to utilities, report writer. Then we'll choose the template car park res made. You don't need to change anything in the template. It's all been done for you. You want to click show matches. This is going to bring up all the reservations that were made yesterday. We're going to export. We're going to choose car park DRA yesterday. Click export again. And that's going to download the report in a CSV file. So you want to open the report when it downloads. And then this is all the raw data pulled directly from RMS. You've got the reservation number, the guest name, their company, their arrival and departure date, the number of nights that they're staying, the number of times they've visited, and the add-on column will show whether or not they've already been allocated a car space. So you can see here that Mr. Purcell has already been allocated a car space. So that would have been done yesterday when his reservation came through to us, and he was allocated a car space at that time. So we'll be able to automatically cross that particular reservation off our list of ones that we need to look at today. So then the next step is to open what will be called the master spreadsheet, basically, which has some pre-loaded formulas already. So if you go to your staff drive and then front office, there's a new folder called car park, and then this is our master file. So car park DRA yesterday master. You want to open. And once you have that open, you may need to click at the top, enable editing, and enable content. And once you've done that, you want to go back into your data that you pulled from RMS, copy everything except for the headings, and then paste that into your master sheet, just from cell A2, and then click Control K on your keyboard, and that's going to run the macro or run the formula, which is saved into the background of this sheet. And what it will do is order all the data based on these two priorities. So what it'll do is it will push to the top of the sheet anyone who has stayed over 13 times and is in our top 100 guest list, and also anyone staying for more than 10 nights. So we want to make sure that we are prioritising our most regular return guests, and also prioritising any long stays. They're the people we want to offer car parking to first if it's available, and then as we will work down this list one reservation at a time, based on that priority. So it's going to order this list by number of visits, and then based on length of stay. So even though Dr. Jefferson is only staying for one night, he's stayed with us 36 times, so he's right at the top of the list because we want to make sure that we're looking after our most regular return guests. Mr. Purcell is then next because he has the longest length of stay, and you can see here that we've actually already allocated him a car space. So straight away, we don't need to worry about looking into offering car parking for that guest, but we'll get to that. So once you have copied and pasted and you've run the macro on the report, then you want to save the report so that there's a copy, just to make sure that nothing goes missing. So we want to file, always save as, and then back into your car park folder. We want to save it to, so whatever the year is, the month, and then just like our nightly reports, the same format. So year, month, day, CPDRA, car park DRA, and then save. I've already saved this one, so I'll just replace it. And then we're going to work from a printed report. So once you've saved it, you then want to print a copy. And that's what we're going to keep on reception near the clipboard so that we can work through it throughout the day. So if the AM shift or the mid don't finish getting through each of the reservations on this report, then the PM shift will still be able to reference exactly where they got up to, like we do with our conf calls, so that if you don't get to it during your shift, you can easily hand over exactly where you're up to the next person. So when you're printing, a couple of things to just make sure in your settings is that it's on landscape for the orientation, and you've also changed the settings so that it fits everything on one page. So you just want to make sure that none of the columns are cut off. So that I can show you exactly what we're doing, I'm obviously going to work from a screen, but you'll be able to work from a printed copy of the report. So where we're at in our process now is here. So you've built the report, you've printed yourself a copy. Now you're ready to work through it. So the next step, work through the list from top to bottom, one reservation at a time. And like I noted before, if a car space has already been allocated, it'll show in the offered column. So we've already offered Mr. Purcell a car space. So from top to bottom, we're going to start with Dr. Jefferson. So then we want to follow the remaining steps for each individual reservation. So we'll jump into RMS to finish off the rest of this process. So if we find Dr. Jefferson's booking, here he is. What we want to do is we want to check his dates of stay against the add-on availability chart to see whether or not there's a car space available for his booking. So under charts, add-ons chart, for the night of the 18th of November, I can see that yes, there is a car space available. So what we want to do is then go to add-ons in the reservation, click add, car parking. You can select any car park. It doesn't matter which one you choose. We want to keep arrival and departure date the same. Add the sundry. We want to click use amount from sundry. Charges required daily. Save and exit. And then what we need to do is send Dr. Jefferson a SMS offering him a car space because there is one available during his stay. So we'll do that via SMS because we do have his contact details. If, for example, this was for someone who had a booker reserve the room for them and maybe we didn't have the guest contact details, then we might need to actually send maybe an email, or we might need to phone the person who booked. So if it was a GDS booking and the travel agent made the reservation, we may need to use email rather than SMS. But in this instance, we're going to use SMS as our first option. So send out SMS. We're going to send out the car park offer, which is all pre-typed in a template for you. So we're going to send out Dr. Jefferson an offer for car parking. So you just hit here, send message in the bottom right hand corner, and then on our master spreadsheet, so you do this by hand, but on our spreadsheet we're going to click that we have yes, offered him car parking, and yes, we've allocated him a space. Now if Dr. Jefferson got back to us on our shift, so and on the same day as we sent the offer, we would then update the report to say yes, he accepted, and that's all we need to do. But if, for example, he said, no, I'd rather take my chances and find street parking, or I'd rather just park in the council car park, then we're going to update the report to say accepted no, and then we need to make sure that we remove the allocation. So we want to go back to our add-ons, click on the add-on and hit delete. So yes, we want to delete it. So now, very clearly from our report, we can see that Dr. Jefferson was offered a car space, he was allocated one, but then he didn't accept that offer. So you're going to work through this spreadsheet guest by guest, based on availability, updated as you go. So yes offered, yes allocated, yes offered, yes allocated, and then obviously update it as you go if they reply during your shift. At the end of your shift, anyone who was offered and allocated a space but hasn't replied with whether or not they would like to accept it, we then need to make sure we go through each of the offered allocated spaces and remove or delete the add-on. They may get back to us the next day, and parking's obviously still subject to availability. So if there's still a space available, then we can check the add-on chart, obviously allocate them a space and add it in, but we want to make sure that we're not holding spaces for people unnecessarily. So then you just go through the list, delete any add-ons that, any car park add-ons that weren't accepted, and then that's it. So once the report's been completed. That will then be filed in the daily work for the day, and that's the process done.